Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty. I appreciate you guys coming out today, and this is not just a domestic case that we're talking about. I want to give you some small details, and I'll try to answer some questions after that. On the 3rd of March, we were dispatched to the hospital. Amanda Wilson is an investigator with the sheriff's office, and she was dispatched to the hospital. When she got up there, she met a lady by the name of Lisa Harrison. She was beaten very badly. She may have to have surgery to fix a broken nose and a broken jaw. This lady was assaulted by her live-in boyfriend, and I'll get to him in just a second. But it says that she had injuries to her face, head, neck, and body. And I saw the pictures, and this poor lady was beaten pretty badly. She got struck with a lamp and a table leg and the guy's fist. He picked her up and slammed her, and just all kind of crazy stuff. While she was at the hospital, there was an arson call that came into North Cleveland Street, or North Cleveland Park Drive. While the arson was being dealt with, the city responded to Pierpont Avenue to another arson where the suspect damaged Tanya Miller's vehicle. He's trying to set that vehicle on fire. And he came back he said he was going to come back and burn that vehicle. And while we were working that scene, the suspect, Mr. Ray Bradford Jr., made his way over to his girlfriend's mother's house and burnt her car. While all this was going on, the Delta units that worked the third shift were doing a really good job and patrolling and looking for this fellow. And they catch him walking down the road near Maple Tree Lane near 221 in Whitney area. And he's got 2 bottles in his hand. One had gasoline in each hand. He had gasoline in a liquor bottle and I think a water bottle. He opens up the gasoline and threatens to burn the officers and himself. Now, I need you to understand, at this point, the officers had a right to use more force than they did. So they were able to kind of surround him, and you keep calm and talk to this fella, and he wasn't going to give up. So Deputy Escobar has Benson, which is one of our canine dogs, and he gets him out on a leash, and as soon as the dog gets out of the car, the guy decides he wants to give up. He didn't want any part of the dog, which that's just another tool that we were able to use and keep from hurting this fella. Now, why do I make mention of all this stuff, and why do I say this? First of all, the outstanding work of the Sheriff's Department, and I think Amanda Wilson was the lead on this, and she and her team that she works with every day did a wonderful job of putting all this together. They were able to charge this guy with a couple of counts of arson and attempted murder. This gentleman right here is Mr. Bradford Jr., and he told him, he said, if y'all hadn't caught me, I was going to go back and take care of his girlfriend and their children. And he had every intentions of killing these people. So I wanted to brag on the team at the Sheriff's Office, because this could have been a very, very, very big story of how we had to shoot and kill somebody. And that didn't happen because of the good professional work of our team. This young man right here, he beat a lady. I've been doing this 35 years, and I hadn't seen many people beat this bad. So I wanted to bring this to your attention just to let you guys know the Sheriff's Department deals with all kinds of cases. And I'm going to tell you that this was one of those cases that you kind of go home and you go, wow. I mean, we could have had to take somebody's life. And I'm thanking the good Lord above right now that we didn't have to do that. And I'm also thankful that Mr. Bradford Jr. didn't get hurt in this whole matter. But we deal with stuff like this every day. Domestic violence is a very big issue. And this all stemmed from, I think, the state taking his stimulus check to pay his child support. Now, recently I've been trying to be more in tune with what Christ tells me to do, and I got to pray for him. But I don't like what he did at all. I want you to pray for the lady that was beaten pretty bad, because she was attacked 2 or 3 times by this fellow. She was able to fight back and hit this gentleman in a few spots that really mattered, and was able to get away. And I think some neighbors actually helped her. So my message to the community today is, if you know somebody that's being abused, don't be afraid to help, because turning your back and going, hey, that's their business, I don't want to get involved. If you don't want to get involved, at least dial 911 and keep an eye on everybody so we'll know how to handle this. But I wanted to brag on the team that's standing over there right now about how they got all this worked out together. And the Delta team, our uniform patrol deputies, did a super job of getting this guy in custody without hurting him. So I will, yes.
Is he a repeat offender?
Yes, he is a repeat offender. Which is, I wish I could show you my surprise face, but I don't have one anymore. We have got to do better. I don't believe everybody needs to stay in jail forever. I don't believe that at all. But when you show our society that you're just simply not going to follow the rules and you're going to be violent, I don't understand why people are out. I don't get it. If we need to build some more spaces in jail because that's the issue, let's do that then. We seem to spend money from our state on everything but what seems to be important to us. Now, this team over here stands for the victims, and they'll speak and work really hard for the victims. There's been countless hours already put in on this case. So, we have got to, as a community, we have got to get better, and we can't allow this to happen. And I want to thank whoever the community was, the community members that stepped up and made some phone calls. It probably, I'm sure, it saved this woman's life. All right. Do you have any questions?
You said she was beaten pretty badly. Would you say it's one of the worst domestic violence cases you guys have seen? And, can you talk a little bit about that?
It's one of the worst. Most of the time it is a punch or a choke or a slap or something like that. But this lady right here was repeatedly beaten. I'm thankful she actually survived this, because she had a broke nose and a broke jaw, and he picked her up and slammed her down, and she had some cut marks right here where he was picking her up by her undergarment, and it was just very violent.
So it started because he lost his stimulus check for child support.
Right, because he's supposed to pay his child support, because when you make babies, you're supposed to be responsible for them. That's really how it works. And he decided that he was mad because he didn't get his $600 to go spend wherever he wanted it.
And does she have previous charges against him before?
I know that they have had some calls. I'm not sure about the calls specifically for them. This guy here was shot a few years ago. Something happened and he was a victim, and he was shot, I think, 4 times. And, seems to me if I got a new lease on life, I would use it for better than that.
Sheriff, you said he was charged with 2 counts of arson, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry, 3 counts of arson. 3 counts of arson.
2 vehicles and then...
And in a house.
And a house.
Yeah. He had every intention of killing some people that night, and if it hadn't been for the good work of the whole team, whether the investigators or the deputies, they prevented probably 3 more deaths.
How did she end up getting to the hospital?
I know that somebody called an ambulance for her, so that's who I'm thinking is the person that was able to make a phone call for her. I don't know if they put her in a car and got her out of there or what happened, but she got there via ambulance.
Do we know the well-being of the children?
So far, so good. He didn't get to them. And I don't think these are young children either. These are like middle-aged. So they're ranged from about 8 years old to about 15, 16. We will send out a press release, obviously for you, but this guy right here, he just looks like a fellow you would see in the store. He didn't look like somebody that would be doing that stuff, but you just never know. And I know it's very hard to tell on your friends. I get that. Nobody wants your buddies in trouble. I get that stuff too, but You know, we have to draw a line somewhere, and I'm going to draw the line right now. You cannot do that. You can't do that to your spouse. I mean, your family deserves better. You know, I got a great idea. If you can't get along with them, y'all either get some counseling and try to pray about it, and if that don't work, get away from one another and leave each other alone. It's just an idea for me. But you don't do that.
And if that's happening to you or somebody that you know, what do you recommend?
I recommend, let me just tell you this. We run into a lot of ladies that are like, well, I know he didn't mean that, and I know that he's better than that, and he says he loves me. You're better than that. You're much better than that. Somebody that is physically violent toward you, they're not going to change unless they're made. That's just the way it works. So I would recommend that you tell somebody, and you tell somebody until they listen to you. You dial 911, and there's a lot of times, though, we come out, the ladies have been abused, and they choose not to press charges because, you know, they're afraid of the guy. We have ways of trying to helping you do that. And I know it disrupts your life. I get that part. But sometimes you have to go through that so it'll get better on the other side. Your children deserve not to see that, because we know that children who watch their parents fight and fuss like that grow up to do the same thing. Whether it's a female, she's like, well, my mama put up with it because she loved him, and I need to put up with it too. So you got to break that cycle. Make sure that you break that cycle. And young men that see dads do that to their moms will normally, not always, but normally, will do that to their spouse too. So we have to break it. We have to start breaking the cycle right now. The only way we're going to do that is to pray for them and to lead them and teach them and be willing to spend a little time with them. You know, I think our churches need to be way more involved with this domestic violence. And domestic violence is not always beatings or any of that stuff. A lot of it is just, you know, abusive talk, stuff like that. So I appreciate very much you coming out, and I just wanted to brag on our team in a big way, and thank the community for, you know, trusting us enough to help this lady. So if you have an issue with domestic violence, we want to know, and we want you to call. If you don't want to dial 911, if there's something that you need some help with, we have a great victims advocates here that will be more than happy to teach you or tell you and put you in touch with whom you need to see. So please pray for this young lady, and you need to pray for this guy here too. I don't know what got in him, but obviously that's not how we're supposed to live. All right? Thank you very much this morning.